So what the heck is going on with MCU Spider-Man 4? In this video, we're going to talk the facts, we're going to talk the rumors, and we're going to break down everything that has been said about the film thus far and come to a rough few conclusions. But before we do that, if you love Spider-Man content every single week, make sure you subscribe because we're so close to 30,000 subscribers. I would really love if we could hit that goal. That would be absolutely awesome. With that said, let's get into this. Basically, before we get into this, I want to mention that everything I'm going to talk about in this video has been leaked, rumored, or suggested by these people on the screen right now. These guys are reliable insiders, and I wouldn't be talking about their stuff if I didn't think they could be trusted, or if they haven't provided really sufficient evidence for stuff like this in the past. But as I always say, make sure to take it with a grain of salt. So the first major talking point that we've got to talk about when it comes to Spider-Man 4 is the fight between Marvel and Sony. Now, this has been ongoing for the past couple of months, and essentially, this is for the bare bones of what the film is meant to be about. Basically, Marvel want the film to be a street-level story, tying it into the street-level MCU saga, along with the likes of Daredevil, Hawkeye, and tying into the Kingpin story, whereas Sony want MCU Spider-Man 4 to be a story about the multiverse. The reason for this is rumored to be the fact that No Way Home was so successful that Sony wants to capitalize on the multiverse's success. Sony are also seeing the success with films like Across the Spider-Verse and are thinking, well, why not we just cash in on it? Well, we can. And to be fair, you can't blame them. But story-wise, I don't think people want another multiverse movie. So a lot of people were siding with Tom Holland and Kevin Feige, Marvel Studios, and everyone else that wanted a street-level story on this. However, it seems like Sony was biting back. After a few months of back and forth and fighting, reports came out that apparently Marvel and Sony had agreed on what the film was going to be about. And it turns out they have come to a compromise and met in the middle, and Spider-Man 4 will have elements of street level and multiversal story in the film. Now, what this will look like, we don't exactly know. However, we can take a solid guess. It could either go two ways. Number one, it could just be the fact that this film is meant to be setting up Kang Dynasty, so the post-credit scenes or the ending of the film will lead into some kind of multiversal event, which will then affect the larger Marvel Cinematic Universe. Another theory is that this film will be largely street level, but the villain possibly could be multiversal as well, kind of like how Kingpin was in Into the Spider-Verse. The next major talking point that has come out about Spider-Man 4 in the last couple of months or so is the director. Now, at first, rumors suggested that Jon Watts was wanted back by Sony Pictures. Sony thought Jon Watts was the best person to take this franchise forward since he was successful with the first 3 Spider-Man films. And once again, can you really blame Sony Pictures? I mean, Jon Watts made the most successful and second most successful Spider-Man movie in history. However, Marvel Studios, it was reported, wanted a brand new director. Jon Watts was still in contention. However, there have been 2 names that have been thrown around that have been offered the role. Number 1 was, of course, Drew Goddard, known from working on Daredevil. However, due to a new deal that he has now signed with Warner Brothers to go and work on the new Matrix film, Drew Goddard is now out of the question, as that project will likely clash with Spider-Man 4. There is one more name, however, that is in contention for the director of Spider-Man 4, and that is Justin Lin. Now, Justin Lin is well known for his action set pieces, especially in the Fast and Furious franchise, and he is currently, according to reports, in pole position to take the director role for MCU Spider-Man 4. However, we can't forget that even though Justin Lin is meant to become the new director for Spider-Man 4, Sony Pictures do still want Jon Watts back, so Jon Watts is still in contention. However, with Jon Watts also pulling out of Fantastic Four at Marvel Studios, it does become increasingly more unlikely that he won't be directing Spider-Man 4, which a lot of fans, including you guys, will probably be happy about, because people do want a new director for this film. Now, let's move on to talk about characters. What kind of characters are going to show up in this film? Well, of course, Tom Holland will be returning as Spider-Man, but it wasn't smooth sailing. In fact, ever since No Way Home came out, there have been many leaks and rumors suggesting that there have been troubles between Sony Pictures, Marvel Studios, and Tom Holland for another contract regarding the Spider-Man role. I think it's because Tom Holland doesn't really want to tie himself down to something that he's going to have to do for another 10 years. We know Tom Holland took that break from acting, and I think he's only wanted to come back if the story's right. And many reports over the last few months as well have also indicated that Tom Holland will only come back to the role if the story is right. We know Tom Holland, as we mentioned earlier in the video, is a big advocate for the film to be street level and to be more grounded and less multiversal. So maybe that is part of the reason as to why Sony Pictures Pictures and Marvel Studios had to come to that agreement, had to come to that compromise as to what the film would be about, because if not, Tom Holland wasn't actually going to be returning. But it has been reported now that Tom Holland, in fact, has signed a contract for MCU Spider-Man 4. Now let's talk about Zendaya. Now, it has been reported that Sony Pictures do want Zendaya to return for this film, and it seems like she possibly is, for one very big reason. Now, if you guys don't know, Zendaya is the lead actress in a show on HBO Max called Euphoria. Now, Euphoria Season 3, which is what Zendaya is a part of, was meant to start shooting at the end of this year. However, it has now been delayed once again because they have scheduling conflicts. Now, there have been other reasons reported, including that they couldn't get the right script and they don't know the right story to do, but actors have been told to go and get other projects while they wait for Season 3 to be done. It was reported that Zendaya apparently prioritized Spider-Man 4 over Euphoria Season 3, which is being indicated as to the main reason as to why the season had to be delayed in the first place. Which suggests that Zendaya won't just have a small role in the film. In fact, she probably will be coming back for a main cast role and a supporting character. Now, that isn't what a lot of people want to hear, but it turns out that might be true. And I wouldn't be surprised, because we've got to be honest with ourselves here. Tom Holland and Zendaya are dating in real life. We know Zendaya is a big part of this franchise. Zendaya is also an A-lister name. We've got to remember, it would be stupid of them not to bring her back for three main reasons. She's a financial boost, she's a marketing boost, and she's with Tom Holland in real life. These three reasons are probably the best three reasons you could have to have an actor on board with a project. And Zendaya, obviously being a household name, being an A-list actor now, she is gonna be in Spider-Man 4. There's nothing we can do about it. Marvel and Sony will force her into this film no matter what the case is. It doesn't matter where the story's going, she will be in this movie no matter what. Now, one of the characters that has been rumored to be in this film very heavily, and I think probably the most interesting rumor that we've gotten for MCU Spider-Man thus far, is Miles Morales. Now, this has come out several times, once after No Way Home, and the rumor kind of resurfaced within the last couple of months. Essentially, at first it was rumored that Miles Morales would be Peter Parker's roommate during MCU Spider-Man 4, kind of taking a Harry Osborn role rather than a traditional Miles and Peter kind of relationship dynamic, which would suggest to me that Miles wouldn't get his powers straight away. And this rumor has since resurfaced in the last few months that Miles apparently will be in MCU Spider-Man 4. What I also think is interesting about this is a lot of talk from Amy Pascal has also come out recently about the live-action Miles Morales movie that Sony Pictures are currently working on. And we also know that Amy Pascal and Sony are kind of trying to force the Sonyverse slowly into the MCU. So it wouldn't surprise me if the same Miles Morales that shows up in Spider-Man 4 is going to be the one that they make a movie about in the Sonyverse. Maybe they are trying to use MCU Spider-Man 4 as a backdoor pilot to a Miles Morales movie. That's just my theory, that isn't a rumor, but based on stuff that has come out, that would make the most sense. And Sony are very sly when it comes to these type of things, so I would not be surprised if that's what they're trying to do there. Last but not least, let's talk about some of the villains that have been rumored and reported on to be in this film. Now, the first one, let's get this out of the way with obviously the Kingpin. Vincent D'Onofrio himself has come out and stated that he would want to play the Kingpin in a Spider-Man movie. He said he would love to go up against Spider-Man, and I think, if Vincent says he wants to, I think that says all you need to know. We also know that this film, as we mentioned before, is going to be a street-level film, whilst also incorporating elements of the multiverse, and the Kingpin is the Thanos of the street-level story, being the villain in, of course, Echo. He is going to appear in Daredevil Born Again. He also appeared in Hawkeye, so it wouldn't be out the realms of possibility, and, well, it's probably going to happen. He will show up in Spider-Man 4. I think that's pretty much nailed on. I think it's probably the worst-kept secret in Hollywood right now. It's not confirmed by any means, but rumors, speculation, everyone kind of expects it to happen in one way or another. The next villain that is touted to appear in this film, these rumors came out quite a while ago, so haven't really been resurfaced in a very long time, but Scorpion. Obviously, as we know, Matt Gargan, an unused villain from the end of Spider-Man Homecoming. People thought he would show up in Spider-Man Far From Home. He didn't. People thought he would show up in Spider-Man No Way Home alongside the other 5 villains to make a Sinister Six. He didn't. People then thought he would show up in Spider-Man 4, and those have been the rumours ever since. And one more villain that has actually been rumoured to be in this film is, quite weirdly, Adrian Toomes, aka the Vulture. Now, these rumours are a little bit more flimsy, but they do have some backing. Basically, as we know, Adrian Toomes showed up in Morbius, and they are kind of going down the direction of maybe making a Sinister Six out of some of the Sonyverse villains. And it's also been rumoured that he will now return for MCU Spider-Man 4, possibly setting up some kind of Sinister Six in the future. I don't know where this would be going, but it is rumored that Adrian Toomes will show up in the film. We don't know what kind of role it would be, if it would be a main villain role or maybe just a side role. We don't know if it would be another cameo, maybe another post-credit scene. We aren't too sure, but those are the reports that we have got at this point in time. And that is pretty much everything we know about MCU Spider-Man 4 at this point in time. These are all of the current rumors and current things that are being said and touted about this film. If anything, we've learned that this film is more up in the air than anything else, but we do know that they are going to try and make it street level, but it is likely that this film will have some kind of multiversal element to it. But either way, thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did enjoy this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care and peace.